Next up, we have someone who's got a lot of experience in enterprise development. We talked earlier about the future of the workforce and the impact on large-scale enterprise. And so I'm very pleased to introduce our next speaker. I mentioned some of these other relationships that help keep the local community empowered and some of the work we do at TechUnited moving. And Verizon's been an incredible partner also in that pursuit. And so Mano is the Chief AI and Data Strategist at Verizon. He leads their AI enterprise, AI thinking and work. He comes from John Deere, from Travelers Insurance, from GE, and so he knows large enterprise inside and out. Can we get a big round of applause for Mano Mannoochahr?
Aaron, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let me just do a little slide check and see. Yes, there you go. Okay, perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. I think Aaron introduced me. My previous company was Travelers Insurance. I had a similar role there. I think, of course, different industry, different company, but one of the things I'm really glad that now I'm in the telephone industry versus insurance, because at events like this, all the Q&A used to be, hey, how come my insurance bill is going up by $1,000? The questions have gotten easier. Drop call is a lot easier to answer than, hey, why my insurance is going up 30%. But anyway, great to be here. So I thought I'll talk a little bit about in the last 6-7 months that I've been at Verizon in terms of what I've learned and observed and type of things that we're doing. So I'll give you a view into that. And of course, a little bit into where we may be going in this space. I think that's one of the main maybe key points here. So at Verizon, we think about our strategy, kind of three-pronged strategy from an AI perspective. I'll give a little bit of a high-level view. One, of course, is how are we applying AI to improve our own business, your interactions with the company, how are we improving the experience, as well as some of our services and offerings, and that's kind of the second leg. We've got a Gizmo Kids watch out there that's going to have some AI features coming out here soon. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, but it's getting ready to launch in Q1. Then we also have another piece, which is really enabling the AI infrastructure. So I think you heard earlier from speaker here in terms of Nokia. So we've got similar ambitions in terms of how are we enabling the AI as an infrastructure for others to use, because we do want to bring AI closer and closer to the edge, because that's where it gets consumed most of the time on the phones and whatnot. So I think with that said, I'm going to do a little deeper dive into the applied AI in terms of how we're improving our own business and your experience with the company by applying AI. With that in mind, let's see if we can go to the first slide here that I thought I will start with a little quiz. So here's a quiz that basically says, hey, how many AI models do you think we have in use currently at Verizon that are running different parts of our business? So those who think maybe it's option A or answer A. Okay, a few hands. Who thinks it's option B? Okay, a lot more hands. And how about C? Okay, yeah, you guessed it. I mean, we've got over 1,000 models, AI models that are currently in production running different parts of our business. And I'll give you kind of a view into that and how we define AI and what that looks like and why we may have that many models and, of course, a lot more coming. So I think with that said, we'll go to the, there's the answer. We'll go to kind of just give you a little bit of a view into what those 1,000 models are and what are the type of things they're doing. I think if you start at the very top left, as soon as you're placing a call to us, of course, we know who you are by your phone or your number. But right away, there's a first model that fires off that basically is trying to predict why you might be calling us. And it's really looking at your last 2 weeks of your network experience. It's looking at why have you called us in the past 2 weeks or so or not. So it's looking at hundreds of data points in real time and trying to predict why you might be calling us. I had that experience as a customer, by the way, 2 years ago, where I called Verizon. It right away after authenticating me, figured out that I was calling about the phones I had ordered for my kids and quickly gave me the status of those phones. I never actually talked to a human. But my point here is that as soon as you're trying to make a touch point with us, we've got AI that's already trying to predict why you might be calling us. Then after we determine why you might be calling us, you may go through a little bit of a call analysis in terms of IVR responses. that then we will try to pair you with who is the best agent available at this time to help you with whatever your question might be. So I think this is where we've got an AI model that's kind of looking at additional data and then trying to figure out who the best person to handle your call might be. And after your call got connected with a rep, then we've got many other models that fire off that are listening to your conversation in real time, trying to figure out how we can best help you, trying to nudge the rep that might be trying to help you. We've got the next best action box on their screen that is suggesting and letting them know that, hey, here's how can you intervene, here's how you can suggest, how the problem can be fixed. So lots and lots of things happening, and if you can see the ball box next to it, we've got every single call of tens of millions of calls that happen gets digitized in real time and is available for our AI models to consume right after the call. So think about it, hundreds of thousands of calls happening any given week, and we've got real-time insights from those calls that are being used all over the business for different purposes. Just in sake of time, I'm going to not cover all of the scenarios here, but maybe a couple here things that we recently launched. So in June, we actually launched a feature where we trained a small language model that knows how to answer questions on about your bill. So if you've got a question about your bill, why it may have gone up, or you don't understand, why the amount changed. I had a question August after becoming an employee. It's like, hey, how come my bill is up $60 from month to month? I figured out my wife was calling Poland that month without having the right plan. So, but anyway, so AI was very helpful in being able to answer those questions. So I think this has been a big win, such a big win that my infrastructure bill went through the roof, but we'll address that, of course. Oh, no, not the actual call. Sorry, when you call us for customer service. Yeah, just clarify that a little bit. This is when you may have an issue and you're calling us for help. Okay. Glad that we got that taken care of. We don't need any news headlines, but anyway. So another one that we actually just launched 2 weeks ago. If you're a competitive customer, I'm not sure why you would be, but if you are, you're with T-Mobile or AT&T, and you bring us your bill, AI will take a look at it and actually recommend what Verizon can do for you, and will meet or beat the price that you're getting for the same set of services and give you more value. Again, the examples are 1,000 plus, like I said. We've got AI that's helping us, improve your experience as well as helping us run the business as efficiently as we can. So again, not going to cover all of the points here. So let's keep going. I think this is a little bit of a spectrum of evolution, how we think about data analytics and AI at Verizon. As you can imagine, the gray bars here, or whatever the color they're showing up in here, the lighter color here, is all of the data that we use to run our business on any given day, okay? So this is all the basic reports of our sales, revenues, customers, whatnot, right? Anything you can imagine. We're, of course, starting to apply sophistication, increasing amount of sophistication to that to understand why something might be happening, what might happen in the future based on what is happening, right? And then, of course, what can I do about it? And that's the prescriptive AI comes in, where it's actually helping us decide if a customer is at risk, what should I do to help them, right, versus them leaving us for a competitor. So again, lots of new AI model coming. Of course, the last 2 years have been all about generative AI. This is exciting space, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, where we have built a number of what I would call advisory tools that are really just bringing data, information, and knowledge together for our front lines to be able to make better decisions, better help the customers that they may be working with. So I think you can see here, it's a continuum of capabilities. I will say most of our business is still run in the gray zone, and lots of opportunity on the right-hand side that we're really going after as AI gets more mature and starts to bring in the agentic AI piece, which is really the next slide. I think this is evolution, hopefully most of you are familiar with. There was a lot of excitement, of course, as large language models came on the horizon, where they could summarize a document or bring the world knowledge at our fingertips, right? Exhibit some basic reasoning at least. We took that capability combined with some of our own data and created these advisory tools for our front lines to be able to use. But then, of course, over the last year and a half or so, AI started to mature. We saw more advanced reasoning models, which, of course, don't easily fold under pressure, under questioning from humans, right? I think that my daughter, 2 years ago, when she first started using ChatGPT, she's in med school, and she's like, Dad, how come AI changes its mind all the time? I push back a little bit, and it just changes its answer. I'm not sure what the right answer is. Well, those days are behind us. Now, of course, AI has gotten a lot smarter and has built the advanced reasoning capability that you're seeing in the third column. And then, of course, there is the next step in evolution happening where AI is starting to figure out the digital world around it. It is starting to learn how to use the tools that we have created over the last, I would say, couple of decades, right, as the web and internet came about. Now it has the ability to reach into systems, interact with systems, interact with data, and not only it's giving you answers, telling you how something can be done, it's actually offering to do work for you. And hopefully some of you have experienced a lot of that through either ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever your favorite AI tool might be, that it doesn't just stop at giving you an answer. It more often than not is offering you the next step or offering you to do some work for you if the work needs to be done. And I think, of course, that's exciting to us because now we can take those advisory tools that we had talked about. We can actually add capability for them to actually execute work and do even more fun things with those tools. So I think with that said, I talked a lot about kind of the frontline tools of these narrow AIs that we've been building, right? That's trying to predict why you might be calling us, or who's the best agent to pair you with, or hey, what can we offer you based on your AT&T or T-Mobile bill, right? So all of those are examples of these narrow AIs that we have deployed to the front line. But over the last, I would say, 6 months or so, we also now have AI that's been enabled for all of our employees. So these are knowledge workers who are performing, highly bespoke, strategic work that is not repetitive, not low skill, and this is where people like myself are relying on these AI tools to be able to shave hours and hours off of our days and weeks, right? Where we've got tools like Gemini that are available to us where I can have it perform research, I can have it do things, write something, and we've got a outside speaker that was coming in, and I was trying to figure out what questions I was going to ask at this event that we're going to host in November. I basically asked the AI saying, hey, can you go research this person, based on their background, what would be interesting questions I should ask them, and then build me a list, put some humor in there, gave it the prompt, the usual prompt, right, that you assemble. And then, of course, within minutes, it had created a beautiful Q&A back and forth where I met with a person yesterday, and they're like, oh, how did you know? I was like, well, AI knew you. So, it built a beautiful Q&A for us to have when you come to our event in November, right? So anyway, so I think that's just one small example. We've got now, I think we rolled it out to 160,000 people across the company where now they have access to those advanced AI tools that they're incorporating and using to be, in some cases, 2-3x productive in terms of the work that they were doing and creating more room and capacity in our organization as a result. So anyway, I think we'll keep going here. So this is just some examples of type of things that people are doing, right? Of course, we all learn how to create summaries of a document and whatnot, right, very quickly. But of course, now, if you look at these advanced reasoning models, they can really become your thought partners and can guide you through any type of discussion, any type of decision that you may be trying to make, right? And just the example even I used where it actually created a whole report for me and a Q&A back and forth with this person who will be at one of our events. It can dive in and do complex analysis. It can now, of course, multimodal AI. I didn't touch on that in the previous slide, but these tools are starting to merge. I mean, I'll give you an example here in terms of a multimodal. So remember we talked about as you call us and we digitize those conversations, right, for our insights in terms of from a customer perspective. You know, one of the teams recently demoed it where now we've got AI that can look at those calls in any given week. It just generates a quick podcast for me to listen to, hey, what were the top 10 issues in our call centers this week, right? And that's the type of things we'll just operationalize to the managers who need to know. And now it's really AI analyzing those millions of calls and generating insights and giving it to us so we can take action based on what we learn. I had another interesting one tidbit here to inject. I mean, actually 3 weeks ago we were at an Airbnb, my wife and I, and we were trying to make tea or something on the stove, and we couldn't figure out how to unlock the stove. So I took ChatGPT out, turned on the vision mode, right, it has now, and pointed at the stove saying, hey, we're having trouble unlocking this stove. It's like, aha, it's model such and such. All you got to do is hold the top right-hand corner for 5 seconds. It will unlock. Problem solved, right? So I think it's really becoming an assistant to us where it's starting to not only interact through language, but it's starting to see and hear the world around us and be able to be a true partner to us, right? I want to bring back that pyramid slide. This is really just talking about we talked about the knowledge work, right? More strategic, bespoke work that a lot of our knowledge workers do. We talked about the frontline work. But I think there's a new category emerging of type of work that we have never imagined before that was possible with AI. Okay, so let me give you an example. You know, we talked about the millions of calls that get digitized and analyzed by AI, right? What if we learn at any given time that there's 1 million customers out of the 70 million or so that we have who are not happy with Verizon for some reason? What can we do about 1 million customers in a given week, right? We can't hardly make 1 million calls like that. We don't have enough people. So what if AI could make those calls? What if AI could interact with those customers, right? Really with empathy and understand what their issue is, right? Maybe AI knows that they called us about a bill or a charge that they weren't expecting, right? How can AI help? And how can then AI not only call them, because I mean, customers aren't there just chat with AI, they want their problem solved. So what if AI could take action for them, right? So I think that's a new category of work that's emerging that is only possible at AI scale. It just never was possible at human scale because we all could not hire enough people to be able to do work like that. And I think this is probably one of the biggest opportunity that's ahead of us as humanity in some cases, that we got to uncover what that is, right? What's the work that none of us just like doing and humans really shouldn't be doing to begin with? And then what is the work that was just never possible without AI that we ought to let AI do it for us, right? So I think we're really going after those opportunities. And certainly, you know, in foreseeable future, we're going to have humans and AI agents that will be working together in large companies as well as consumers. I think, in fact, if you look at the recent numbers here, majority of the consumption of AI models right now is actually with consumers, it's not with the enterprises. It's because enterprises are just at the beginning of this journey. We have done a lot, but certainly, you know, as agentic AI takes hold and AI starts to learn about its environment and digital tools that it has access to, and it can actually do work for us, we're going to see that chart flip, and we are going to see more and more enterprise usage. And certainly, that's probably one of the reasons why there's just thousands of data centers that are being built to get ready for that inevitable future that is upon us here. I will say that all of that I'm saying in the enthusiasm that we all have for AI, we've got to continue to make sure we temper that with the complexity that's present in trying to augment, trying to have complex work being performed by AI. It is not easy. There have been many examples of where companies have tried it. Actually, Anthropic, which is one of the 3 larger players of AI models, they actually tried having agentic AI run a small business inside of their company, all by AI. And they asked AI to run their vending machine and basically, you know, decide what should be in the vending machine for employees. And then if something is running out, order it. And then, of course, market it to their employees. So AI was running the whole business. Well, first day or two went really well. But on third day, AI kind of went off the rails. It started inventing employees that never worked there. And when challenged to say, hey, this person doesn't even work here, how do you have him on the list? It thought for a second and said, oh, April Fool's Day. I can say this is April Fool's joke, and it returned saying, oh, April Fool's joke. So anyway, I think hallucination is still an issue. So you gotta, of course, have human in the loop on critical things, right? And we wouldn't want AI interacting with a customer that it may have called and have customers sweet talk their way into forgiving a $300 bill without having any other discussion. Those are type of things, of course, we'll have agentic AI, have some rules around it before we start deploying those type of things, right? And certainly things like transparency and knowledge and procedural knowledge and data, everything is going to become that much more important to companies like us and many, many others, of course. So I think maybe a last thing I'll leave you all with it is that it's really going to be about balancing incremental execution with, kind of reimagining the process, right? So which is, hey, now technology is to the point where I can actually rethink how this work should be done. And I used some examples here earlier, right? But then, of course, you've got to execute on it incrementally. But I think the one thing I'll leave you with it here is that you just avoid falling into the trap of kind of incremental execution based on incremental thinking. Because you're just not going to see the benefit if you're not leveraging technology to change the way you work. And I think this is where maybe we'll just leave it at that. Thanks for having me. It was great being here.